This video is sponsored by Squarespace, the one-stop shop that lets you make a website of your very own to engage with your audience and then spruce it up with pretty effects and layouts and even sell your merch on there, like socks, if you're selling socks. If you've ever wanted to make a website that you can call your own, then I highly suggest following in my footsteps and giving Squarespace a try, especially if you're into making gaming content. You can even check out my fantastic new website in the description if you fancy. They've got tons of super easy templates to work off of if you need some inspiration and extremely cool ways to host your content on the website or embed any video anywhere and even remonetize it all 100% through your website on Squarespace. And stay on top of your website visits with their insightful analytics, so you know exactly how many people are visiting from where. And even better, you can try Squarespace out for free for 14 days. Then when you're ready to launch your amazing new site, you can head to squarespace.com/bandit for 10% off the first purchase. So what are you waiting for? So the other day, some Zelda content creators and outlets were invited to actually play Tears of the Kingdom early and make content reviewing their experiences. Not me though, and I'm not salty about it. Not one bit. But you know, luck aside, it was extremely cool and exciting to see all of the new things you can do in the gameplay of Tears of the Kingdom. So I figured I'd compose a list of the top 5 biggest and most exciting gameplay changes coming in Tears of the Kingdom based off of Aunuma's gameplay and the new preview gameplay from creators like Zeltic. And on that note, if you don't want any spoilers about the game at all, including those regarding gameplay, consider this your spoiler warning for the gameplay. First up, and perhaps most importantly, Tears of the Kingdom does not feature the Sheikah slate. First up, and perhaps most importantly, Tears of the Kingdom does not feature the Sheikah slate, or at least not the same one that Link had in Breath of the Wild. I'm sure this new Nintendo Switch looking thing he's holding in the trailer has something to do with that though. It may be an upgrade to the Sheikah slate, who knows? But regardless, it doesn't seem like he uses it in gameplay, which means that this is bigger than you might have thought at first, because the Sheikah slate was everything. It was Magnesis, it was Cryonis, it was Stasis, it was the camera, it was your map, and it was the bombs, which means that all of this is gone, including the square bombs, which is a true tragedy. This changes the gameplay of Breath of the Wild from the ground up, saving only Link's basic movement and climbing ability. In its place though, as you likely know, Link will be given new/ancient Zonai abilities as a result of his new Zonai arm. And we know this arm technology is Zonai in origin because the ancient Zonai constructs possess some of the same abilities, like Fuse. And speaking of the abilities, something tells me we're not gonna miss the old Sheikah runes too much. Ultra Hand is essentially Magnesis done better, because now you can manipulate not just metal objects, but nearly any object that isn't nailed to the ground in Zeltic's words, and even stick them together with green Zonai superglue. Fuse is similar to Ultra Hand, but specifically works by only sticking or fusing 2 objects together, such as a metal spike ball to your shield, or a confusing flower to your arrow, or a stick to your stick, which has many applications in combat and exploration. Recall replaces stasis by rewinding an object through time and then even holding it in stasis after it's been rewound all the way, given there's more time left on the recall ability. Cryonis is gone, of course, but in its place we have Ascend, which ascends Link upward through whatever material he can reach instead of ascending ice out of water. It's not a direct replacement to Cryonis like the other two, but its applications are much bigger than anything Cryonis was ever able to do, not including glitches, of course. The map system seems to have more or less made an exact comeback with a few changes to the UI here and there. Looking across the top of the screen, it's clear that the map is still Sheikah in origin, so perhaps Link's new Nintendo Switch Sheikah slate is still the Sheikah slate, but without any runes and only the map? The one rune that wasn't directly replaced would be the bombs, at least as far as we know, but this isn't too big of a deal because of the next big gameplay change, which leads me to the next point, the change to Breath of the Wild's quick swapping interface. As you'll recall, Breath of the Wild allowed players to hold down the arrow buttons while pushing left or right on the right thumbstick in order to swap between weapons and shields. This is making a comeback in Tears of the Kingdom, but with one new much needed change and one new addition entirely. The change is that you can now drop items directly from your swap screen, which is a godsend, might I add. I can't tell you how many times I'd come across a new weapon that I couldn't pick up and then I had to either swap to something I wanted to throw or pull up the menu and choose a shield or bow to drop manually. I know it's not that big of a deal, but still it gets old after a while. Now though, you can just press a button and boom, it's out of your inventory and lying on the ground in front of you. It's that simple. The addition to the swap mechanic would be the brand new ingredient tab, which allows you to, you guessed it, swap between ingredients, just like you would with weapons or shields. Now, if you haven't seen all the gameplay stuff, you might be wondering, how would this help in any way? Well, in the first place, it's necessary for using fuse in combat. You can swap to an ingredient you want to stick to your arrow on the spot, or drop an ingredient or even weapon that you want to fuse to your weapon or shield. You can also throw things from your ingredient inventory, which not only replaces bombs since there are now ingredients like bomb flowers, but adds a whole new spectrum to the gameplay, because now Link can just chuck out fire and ice and electricity bomb balls left and right without expending a single arrow. We'll still have to figure out how to win bomb though, which might be a bit tricky, but I have faith in you guys. Third, the enemies in Tears of the Kingdom have been replaced, even though many of them are making a direct return, which no doubt has helped with the whole Tears of the Kingdom is just Breath of the Wild DLC debate, which is by definition a very ridiculous debate. Again, as Zeltic stated in his gameplay preview video, enemies now drop items that Link can potentially use to upgrade or simply repair his weapons. This adds a whole new layer to needing or even just being willing to kill every enemy you come across, since you'll no longer be just destroying weapons left and right. Who knows, you may kill an enemy and stick their horn on your nearly broken greatsword, making it a fully restored and more powerful than ever horny greatsword. I'm sorry, I had to. Not to mention the constructs drop zonai charges, which are useful in trading for other zonai construction pieces, which are useful in navigating the new world of Tears of the Kingdom Hyrule. So, you know, enemies got quite the update. There are also many brand new types of enemies, which I'm sure we haven't even scratched the surface of yet. There are Redeads that we've yet to see Link fight, which no doubt will come with different versions. New big bokoblins called boss bokoblins, which implies there might even be boss versions of other enemies like boss moblins or boss Lionels. And a whole bunch of new really scary looking bosses for Link to face off against, which will each come with their materials and fusible item drops, so enemies are likely going to feel almost entirely different in Tears of the Kingdom. Fourth, if you would consider leaving a like on this video, that would be greatly appreciated, and it would really help spread it around on YouTube. And you should totally subscribe if you haven't already, because there will be tons of Tears of the Kingdom coverage right here in the months to come. Okay, but for real now, fourth, the map is going to be ridiculously massive. If you've been paying attention to more than just the trailers and gameplay, you probably know that there have been a couple of ads that Nintendo has put out for the game, and one of these ads has Link lighting up some underground section. Looking at Link's minimap, we can even see that there are now coordinates with X, Y, and Z axes, so that you can accurately triangulate your location in the world because it's so massive. You can even see how the map is going to reflect this new humongous change. Similarly to Elden Ring, there are tabs on the left side that will enable you to switch between the sky, surface, and presumably underground maps, each of which may be just as big as one another, which the more you think about it, the more mind-blowing that fact becomes. Not to mention the already existing surface of Hyrule that, yes, is coming over from Breath of the Wild, but is almost inch by inch completely redone. Aonuma stated in his gameplay video that there are so many changes to the world of Hyrule, he doesn't have time to even go into it much at all. And in every shot of the world we can see in any trailer or any piece of gameplay, we can see that this is very much so the case. So you bet a large portion of Tears of the Kingdom will not only be exploring all the new areas above and beneath Hyrule, but also rediscovering Hyrule itself, and hopefully figuring out why mushroom fashion is all the rage now in Hateno Village. Last but certainly not least, because this is actually one of the biggest changes for me personally, is the fact that in Tears of the Kingdom, completely unlike Breath of the Wild, we will actually be playing as Link as he progresses through a story. And I'm not saying Breath of the Wild didn't have a great story, it absolutely did, it's just that 99% of it happened all in the past, as the calamity nearly ended all of existence, and by the time we get to play as the reawakened Link, it's pretty much all said and done. So much so that you could even complete the game right off the bat. In Tears of the Kingdom, we won't be referring to the upheaval as something that happened 100 years ago or so. We will actually be living and playing through it, meaning characters we meet will be in cutscenes that we will feel more connected to, as well as having a real, intelligent villain to learn about and fight against. That's actually formidable. For a change, a very welcome change. Needless to say, I am very much so looking forward to the new story that we will get to experience firsthand in Tears of the Kingdom. Before we end though, an honorable mention gameplay change that's more of speculation but is still worth mentioning is that in one of the ads for Tears of the Kingdom, as Link is shown facing off against a flame Gleeok, we can see that he has 17 hearts in a single row. Now in Breath of the Wild, a row of hearts was limited to 15. This begs the question, have the rows been limited to just one row now? For the first time in a Zelda game, same? Or has the limit of hearts just gone up, and now maybe the rows themselves can go up to 20 each, making the total 40 instead of 30? Of course, there's no way to know presently, which is why this is just an honorable mention, but either way, it does seem that Link's own physical upgrades have undergone some changes as well. But enough of what I'm excited for, what are you excited about? Are you stoked to see something else that's different, or maybe something else that's the same? Like the returning Koroks, for instance. Let me know all about it in the comments below, and once again, thank you so much for watching, and please consider liking the video to get it spread around on YouTube, and subscribe if you haven't already for much more gaming lore. You can always unsubscribe later. Huge thanks as always to my Bandit crew who make my day every day. Be sure to follow me on my socials, and that's all she wrote. This is Bandit signing out. Peace!